The crazy life of Somali pirates. The Somali pirates of the late 20th and early 21st centuries captured global attention with their daring hijackings, violent clashes, and ransom negotiations. Often romanticized or vilified in media, these pirates were a product of Somalia's instability, economic desperation, and strategic geography. Their rise and fall tell a story of greed, survival, and international intervention. Origins of Somali piracy. Somalia, a country plagued by civil war since the collapse of its government in 1991, became a breeding ground for lawlessness. The absence of a functioning navy left Somali waters unprotected, making them vulnerable to illegal fishing and toxic waste dumping by foreign vessels. As a response, local fishermen initially formed militias to protect their waters. Over time, this self-defense effort evolved into full-fledged piracy, as they realized hijacking ships for ransom was far more lucrative. Factors leading to piracy. 1. Government collapse, 1991. With no centralized authority, warlords and militias filled the power vacuum. 2. Illegal fishing, foreign trawlers depleted Somali waters, robbing locals of their primary livelihood. 3. Toxic waste dumping, reports suggested that companies dumped hazardous waste off Somali coasts, poisoning local fisheries. For geographic advantage, Somalia's coastline stretches over 3,000 kilometers along one of the world's busiest shipping routes. 5. Economic hardships, with limited job opportunities, many young men saw piracy as their best option. The life of a Somali pirate. Being a pirate in Somalia was not just about hijacking ships, it involved complex planning, alliances, and risks. The life of a pirate could be thrilling, dangerous, and deadly. Recruitment and training. Pirates were typically young men, many in their teens or early 20s. Some were former fishermen, others ex-militia members with combat experience. Warlords and pirate financiers trained recruits in weapon handling, navigation, and ransom negotiation. Daily life in a pirate's haven. Pirates operated from coastal towns like Isle, Hobyo, and Haratir. These towns became mini pirate kingdoms, where ransom money fueled local economies. Weapons and equipment. Pirates were heavily armed, carrying AK-47s, RPGs, and satellite phones. Boats. They used small skiffs with powerful engines, supported by larger motherships to operate far from shore. Luxury lifestyle. Successful pirates lived extravagantly, driving expensive cars, building mansions, and indulging in drugs, alcohol, and prostitutes. Fear and paranoia. With rival gangs, corrupt officials, and foreign militaries in pursuit, paranoia was constant. Hijacking operations, the art of piracy. Pirates didn't just attack ships randomly, they meticulously planned their hijackings. Step 1. Identifying a target. Pirates used informants, spotters on land, and even AIS tracking systems to monitor passing ships. Step 2. High-speed chase and attack. Pirates approached ships in small skiffs, firing warning shots to force them to stop. If the crew resisted, pirates used ladders, grappling hooks, or even RPGs to board the vessel. Step 3. Hostage-taking and negotiation. Once on board, pirates took the crew hostage, sailed the ship to a Somali port, and contacted the shipping company to demand ransom. Ransom negotiations took weeks or months. Pirates communicated via satellite phones and had professional negotiators. Ransoms ranged from $500,000 to $10 million per ship. Step 4. The payout. Once the ransom was delivered, usually via airdrop, pirates divided the money among their crew, financiers, and local officials. Infamous Somali pirate attacks. MV Sirius Star, 2008. A Saudi oil tanker carrying $100 million worth of crude oil was hijacked. Ransom, $3 million. Pirates celebrated by throwing cash in the air and buying luxury goods. Maersk Alabama hijacking, 2009. The ship's captain, Richard Phillips, was taken hostage. U.S. Navy SEALs rescued him in a daring operation, killing 3 pirates. Inspired the film Captain Phillips starring Tom Hanks. The fall of Somali piracy. While Somali piracy peaked between 2005 and 2011, its decline was swift due to 1. International naval patrols, warships from the US, NATO, and other countries increased patrols in the Indian Ocean. 2. Armed security on ships, shipping companies started employing armed guards, making hijackings riskier. 3. Local crackdowns, Somali authorities and warlords turned against pirates. 4. Better economic opportunities, some pirates shifted to smuggling, trafficking, or legitimate businesses. The rise of Somali piracy, a deeper look. Early piracy and fishermen turned gunmen. In the early 1990s, piracy in Somalia was mostly defensive. Fishermen, armed with basic weapons, attacked foreign trawlers poaching fish in Somali waters. Their initial demands were not ransoms but compensation for stolen fish. However, as these fishermen realized that hijacking vessels was lucrative, piracy quickly turned into a well-organized business. By the early 2000s, groups of ex-fishermen, militia members, and warlords banded together to form structured piracy networks. These groups operated from coastal towns such as Isle, Puntland, a major pirate hub with local officials benefiting from the ransom economy. Hobyo and Haradhir, central Somalia, controlled by powerful pirate clans. Bosaso, commercial hub, pirates used the port city for money laundering and logistics. At first, most piracy was limited to attacking fishing boats and small cargo ships. But as their operations grew more sophisticated, they began targeting massive oil tankers, container ships, and luxury yachts. How Somali pirates structured their operations. By 2005, Somali piracy had evolved into a multimillion-dollar industry with a clear hierarchy. Pirate leadership and financing. Unlike the old romanticized idea of independent pirates, Somali piracy was more like a corporate operation. 1. The financiers and warlords, wealthy individuals funded piracy operations in exchange for a share of the ransom. These backers provided boats, weapons, fuel, and intelligence. 2. The bosses, local pirate leaders controlled multiple crews and managed ransom negotiations. 3. The commanders, lieutenants, supervised attacks, handled logistics, and divided ransom money. 4. The foot soldiers, young, armed men who boarded ships, held hostages, and ensured ransom payments were made. 5. The negotiators, highly skilled individuals, often speaking English, who communicated with shipping companies and insurance firms to demand ransoms. 6. Local authorities and middlemen, corrupt officials and businesspeople helped launder ransom money and provided protection for pirates. This structure made Somali piracy one of the most organized criminal enterprises in modern history. The pirate economy, how ransom money was spent. When a ship was hijacked and a ransom paid, the money was distributed according to a strict system. A typical $5 million ransom would be split like this. 30 to 40% to the financiers and warlords. 20 to 30% to the pirate boss and lieutenants. 10 to 20% for logistics, fuel, weapons, supplies. 10% as bribes to local officials. The rest divided among the gunmen. Some pirates became overnight millionaires. They flaunted their wealth by buying luxury cars, gold watches, and expensive houses. Throwing extravagant parties with prostitutes and drugs. Marrying multiple wives, sometimes offering up to $50,000 as dowry. However, this fast lifestyle often led to their downfall. Many pirates lost fortunes gambling, drinking, or fighting over money. Some were even betrayed by their own gang members. The most notorious Somali pirates. Abdiwali Abdicator Muse, the young pirate. At just 19 years old, he led the hijacking of Maersk Alabama in 2009. Captured by U.S. Navy SEALs and sentenced to 33 years in an American prison. His case became famous through the movie Captain Phillips. Mohammed Garfanji, the millionaire pirate. One of the wealthiest Somali pirate bosses. owned a fleet of pirate ships and controlled a network of hijackers. Eventually arrested in Somalia in 2018. Issy Ulix, the ghost pirate. Known for escaping multiple international manhunts. Linked to Al-Shabaab and arms smuggling. These figures symbolized both the power and eventual downfall of Somali piracy. Famous hijackings that shocked the world. 1. MV Fina, 2008, the pirate arms heist. A Ukrainian cargo ship carrying 33 T-72 tanks, rocket launchers, and ammunition was hijacked. The ransom, $3.2 million. This hijacking sparked fears that the weapons would fall into terrorist hands. 2. Maersk Alabama, 2009, the American standoff. A U.S. cargo ship hijacked off the Somali coast. Captain Richard Phillips taken hostage. U.S. Navy SEALs killed 3 pirates in a dramatic rescue mission. 3. MV Sirius Star, 2008, the biggest oil heist. A Saudi oil tanker carrying $100 million worth of crude oil was captured. Held for 2 months until a $3 million ransom was paid. These cases highlighted how Somali pirates were no longer just attacking fishing boats but targeting billion-dollar shipping industries. The fall of Somali piracy. What went wrong? By 2012, Somali piracy had nearly collapsed. What caused its downfall? 1. International naval crackdown. Warships from the US, NATO, China, and Russia patrolled Somali waters. Special forces launched operations against pirate strongholds. Many pirates were killed, arrested, or forced to flee. 2. Armed security on ships. Shipping companies hired private military contractors. Armed guards on board made hijackings far riskier. 3. Local resistance and crackdowns. The Somali government, backed by foreign aid, began cracking down on piracy. Warlords turned against pirates, fearing international retaliation. 4. Economic alternatives. Some former pirates shifted to smuggling, human trafficking, or working for terrorist groups. A few returned to fishing, though piracy remains a minor threat. The aftermath. Where are the pirates now? Some are in prison. Countries like the US, Kenya, and Seychelles prosecuted captured pirates. Some became terrorists. Many ex-pirates joined Al-Shabaab, using their naval skills for arms smuggling. Some disappeared. Wealthier pirates relocated to Dubai, Kenya, or other regions, investing their money in real estate or businesses. Although piracy is no longer a global crisis, occasional hijackings still occur, especially in the Gulf of Aden and Indian Ocean. However, the days of multimillion-dollar ransoms are mostly over. The legacy of Somali pirates. Somali piracy was never just about crime, it was a product of desperation, lawlessness, and foreign exploitation. What began as a fight against illegal fishing turned into an international crisis. Pirates went from ragtag fishermen to multimillionaire gangsters, only to fall just as quickly. Their legacy is mixed. They exposed global shipping vulnerabilities. They forced the world to pay attention to Somalia's instability. They left behind a generation of lost young men, many of whom either died or ended up in prison. While Somali piracy may never return to its peak, its history remains a cautionary tale of what happens when poverty, war, and opportunity collide.